correct behaviors in children. First of all, I believe there we go. Sorry, technical issue. Okay, where the behavior begins. A lot of people believe that the parents are where the behavior begins, whether it's a good behavior or a bad behavior. For instance, parents and bonding. I found an article that says, Father-son must bond to avoid a life of bad behaviors by Tamara Cohen, stated that loving contact with baby boys in their earliest days is essential if they are to thrive and can help to produce a calmer and happier child at just 1 year of age. This is also true for girls as well. It is very important for a parent to bond with their son or daughter. If you are a mother, it is the best to bond with your daughter. And if you are a father, it's good to bond with your son. The reason for this is simple. In order for you as a parent to get the message that you want across to your child, you need to be the role model for your child. You have to be the one to set the example and to just, reenact the behaviors you want your children to reenact, So communication is very essential to their development and how we get that message across. Next, we have the peer influence. For instance, let's take an example of my middle son. He's been acting really poorly in school lately, and his behavior has been progressively worse. And I mean the whole 9 yards, from back-talking the teachers, and pretty much getting other kids to stir up, some drama and getting them to fight or whatever. He's gone down this huge spiral for some reason. And we've given him that talk because there's no way that his father had, taught him these behaviors. He knows right and wrong. He knows that it's not okay to act like this. So when we talk to him about it, he says he doesn't know why he acts like that. He just does. And then one day, I gave his friend a ride. At that point, it all became very clear why he was acting that way. So I told him to shape up or we're sending him to another school. Needless to say, he still has that friend, but his behavior was corrected. Environmental and personal adoption to the environment. This just means that a lot of people, they believe that if a child were to grow up in a violent environment, and they watch violent video games, or they play the violent video games, or they watch it on television, then they're going to reenact those behaviors. Other people believe that that's not the case, that even though they have not had that environment and they grew up in a very easy, steady home, that and they reenact these behaviors that they watch on TV or see from the video game, that they're still going to reenact these behaviors. So, according to Pastor and Smith, though, from the psychology book, learning focuses on the organism's behavior change in response to environmental stimulus. In a lifetime, for humans, we learn various from different cultures, skills, customs, languages, and so forth. That is just the example of the environment of which we learn. What? Oh my God. That's all I'm doing. Okay, we'll stick with the arrow. All right, so this is the proper way to correct the behaviors. We have the positive reinforcement, which is the presentation of the stimulus, such as the reward that makes the behavior more likely to occur. Then we have the negative reinforcement, a subtraction of the stimulus that makes the behavior more likely to occur as well. Then there's punishment, something that decreases the likeliness of a response to occur. And lastly, we have extinction, which is not really connected. It's just simply that it takes that bad behavior away completely. You, as a parent, have successfully managed to make that behavior stop. So, according to Pastor and Smith also, A lot of people do like to confuse negative reinforcement with punishment. Punishment only weakens the response, whereas the reinforcement, whether positive or negative, it strengthens that response. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples for this that I kind of configured in my own sense. If your child acts up and wants you to pick up the child, and you give in, and you give the baby what it wants, then you have just encouraged that bad behavior. So it is easier for you to just let the baby cry and not feed into that behavior, to just kind of teach the baby, you know what, no, I'm boss. Also, let's take, for example, a good behavior. If you see your child is going out of their way to, help other people and stuff, and then you're like, you know what, you did a great job. That's awesome. Let's go to amusement park to have a good day today. You know, I'm very proud of you. That's an example of giving and strengthening those responses. You want to encourage the good behavior of your children and not encourage the bad behaviors from the children. Punishment is given immediately as well as consistently, with an explanation that follows afterwards. And to let the child that it's unacceptable to be acting the way that child is acting. Extinction follows after punishment. When the behavior is unacceptable, then it eventually completely stops. And then lastly we have what is the outcome if the behavior is corrected or not? A lot of parents will ask themselves, am I doing a great job? Well, every situation is different. Your child can grow up to be successful and overcome these bad behaviors. They can also be successful and never overcome these bad behaviors. They can also be unsuccessful and overcome the bad behaviors, and they can also be unsuccessful and not overcome these behaviors and end up in our prison systems. In an African news article, A Little Thing That Matters by Vanguard stated, bad manners easily turn people off, even if you're the best looking or wealthiest person on earth. Although because of monetary gains from you, some people may pretend to look up to you, while inwardly they deplore your bad manners and dislike you. So with this, I leave you. You only have 18 years to live your life with your children before they have to live with the rest of the world. So how would you like to be treated when you come across a complete stranger? I was just supposed to do like 30 seconds of a little video I have.
Request or instruction. The first step in discouraging behaviour you want a child to stop is to communicate clearly what you want them to stop and what to do instead.
No, that's hitting. No hitting. Be gentle with mummy. Be gentle.